Welcome to Calm Night ASMR, where every story is a gentle journey into tranquility. This is your haven, a place to unwind, let go, and drift into peaceful dreams. Tonight, I'll take you deep into a snowy forest where the warmth of a magical cottage awaits. Let your mind relax, your breathing slow, and your body settle as we begin. The snow-laden forest stretched endlessly, its vast silver expanse shimmering under the watchful gaze of a crescent moon. The traveler's boots sank into the thick, soft snow with a muffled crunch, each step leaving an imprint in the otherwise untouched whiteness. The rhythmic sound of their footsteps was the only thing that disturbed the otherwise perfect silence, and it seemed almost too loud in the stillness. Each breath they took escaped in a white cloud, vanishing almost as quickly as it formed, as though the cold itself was eager to consume it. Their scarf, wrapped tightly around their neck, offered little protection from the biting chill. The icy wind seemed to seep through the wool, finding its way beneath their layers, and it wrapped its cold fingers around their body. No matter how tightly they pulled their woolen scarf higher, or how quickly they moved, the cold clung to them like a shadow, seeping into their bones. They could feel it creeping along their arms and legs, settling in deep, a constant reminder that they were alone in this vast, frozen world. The crunch of snow beneath their feet echoed in the silence, but it felt distant, as though the forest was swallowing up the sound before it could reach the trees. The wind whispered through the trees, its mournful tune mingling with the faint creak of frost-laden branches bending ever so slightly in the breeze. Snowflakes, delicate and weightless, drifted lazily from the heavens, floating down in a soft, shimmering cascade that seemed to last an eternity. Each flake landed softly on the traveler's coat, on their eyelashes, like tiny crystal kisses. The forest around them was beautiful, yes, but also intimidating in its vastness. The trees stood tall and imposing, their bare branches reaching upward like long, gnarled fingers, casting long, dark shadows that seemed to stretch endlessly beneath the moonlight. The landscape was stunning, but it felt unyielding. There was no warmth, no shelter, nothing but the endless white blanket of snow that stretched as far as the eye could see. The traveler's pace began to slow, their steps feeling heavier with each passing moment, as exhaustion crept steadily into their limbs. The cold, once a sharp sting against their skin, had settled into a dull, persistent ache, gnawing at them from the inside. It was as though the entire world had conspired to make them feel small, insignificant, and isolated, surrounded by an endless stretch of winter. The air itself felt thick with cold, each breath a little harder to draw, each movement more laborious than the last. The vast, unbroken snow seemed to stretch on forever, offering no signs of comfort, no place to rest, and no hope. And just as their steps became sluggish, their body weary, a soft, golden light appeared in the distance, like a beacon calling them forward. Just as despair began to whisper in their mind, a flicker of golden light appeared far in the distance, a soft shimmer amidst the endless white expanse. It was faint at first, barely noticeable, a lonely glimmer, like a distant star twinkling through the thick veil of trees. But even in its quiet subtlety, it felt like the promise of warmth, a tiny beacon that cut through the overwhelming silence of the forest. The traveler stopped, heart quickening, as a surge of hope flooded in their chest. They squinted into the darkness, focusing intently, their breath coming in shallow puffs. The light, though small and distant, seemed to grow stronger, its golden hue deepening and warming the chilled air. It called to them, like a soft, inviting whisper that beckoned them forward. With each passing moment, the light became steadier, stronger, and more reassuring. as if a long-lost friend were waiting just beyond the trees. It felt like the very forest itself was shifting, making way for this glimmering warmth that promised to chase away the cold. With newfound determination and a flicker of hope that burned bright in their chest, the traveller pressed on, their legs still weary but guided by the promise of comfort. The snow beneath their feet, though still deep and thick, no longer seemed as oppressive. Each step was easier than the last, propelled by the vision of this mysterious light. As they drew closer, the light gradually resolved into something more tangible, and the traveller's breath caught in their throat. There, nestled gently among the frosted pines, stood a small, cozy cottage. Its snow-covered roof shimmered softly under the moonlight, the golden glow spilling from its windows, casting long, warm beams onto the surrounding snow, like inviting arms. Icicles, glistening like delicate crystal chandeliers, hung from the edges of the roof, catching the light and creating fleeting rainbows that danced across the untouched snow below. The sight was so serene, so perfect, that it felt like stepping into a dream. The air, though cold, carried the sweet, comforting scent of wood smoke, curling through the trees and blending with the faint fragrance of something warm and spice. It wrapped around the traveller, filling them with a sense of deep comfort and relief, as though the very scent was a gentle embrace, welcoming them to a place of safety and peace. They had found the warmth they had longed for in the heart of the cold, and it felt as though the entire world had shifted just for them, offering a brief but perfect haven from the frostbitten wilderness outside. The oak door, adorned with a wreath of evergreen and red berries, seemed to beckon with an invitation that felt as though it had been waiting just for the traveller. The wreath, dusted with snow, swayed gently in the breeze, adding a touch of colour to the white wonderland outside. With trembling hands, the traveller reached out and knocked softly, the sound of the knuckles tapping against the wood, breaking the stillness of the forest. The sound echoed faintly in the night air, lingering for a moment before the door creaked open on its hinges, revealing the warmth within. Standing in the doorway was a woman, her silver hair neatly braided and tucked beneath a thick woolen shawl that shielded her from the cold. Her eyes, the color of twilight skies, sparkled with a kindness that seemed to fill the space around her. A faint smile played on her lips, as though she had been expecting the traveler all along. Her expression was soft, welcoming, and entirely unhurried, as though time itself slowed within the walls of her cottage. "Come in," she said gently, her voice rich and melodic, with a calming, almost lyrical quality. It was the kind of voice that carried the warmth of the fire inside, inviting the traveler to step beyond the chill of the outside world and into the haven of comfort that awaited. The traveler hesitated for only a moment, the pull of warmth and kindness too strong to resist. Stepping across the threshold, they were immediately enveloped by the coziness of the cottage. The door closed softly behind them, shutting out the biting cold, and the warmth wrapped around them instantly, like a heavy quilt, settling over their tired, chilled frame. Their limbs relaxed with the comfort of the heat, and the tension that had been clinging to their shoulders began to melt away. The air inside smelled rich and comforting, of cedar wood, freshly burning in the hearth, spiced apples, and something faintly floral, like dried lavender and rose petals. It was a fragrance that made the traveller's heart feel lighter, as if the very air here was infused with calm. The fire crackled softly in the stone hearth, its flames dancing in hues of gold, amber, and soft crimson, casting gentle shadows that flickered across the room. The walls were lined with shelves brimming with books, their spines worn with age, and jars of dried herbs, each labeled in delicate script. The scent of cinnamon, cloves, and other spices wafted from the jars, hinting at the warm concoctions they might contain. Trinkets, delicate and charming, glinted softly in the firelight. Small carved animals, hand-painted porcelain, and smooth stones that seemed to hum with a quiet, ancient energy. A quilt-draped armchair sat near the fire, its fabric worn with years of use, but still invitingly soft, like a comforting embrace. A small table nearby held a steaming bowl of soup, rich and fragrant, and a loaf of freshly baked bread, its crust golden and inviting. The very sight and smell of the food seemed to promise that the traveler had found the sanctuary they had longed for, a place where time could slow, worries could melt away, and peace could settle deep into the soul. The woman closed the door gently behind them, her movements deliberate, as though she was guarding the peaceful warmth that radiated from within. "You look cold," she said, her voice soft, filled with the kind of concern only a person who had known the chill of the world could offer. Her eyes, like the soft twilight sky, studied the traveler with kindness, understanding the deep weariness in their posture. "Sit by the fire," she continued, her words wrapping around them like the warmth of a cozy blanket. "Let the warmth find you." She guided them to the armchair with a gentle hand on their shoulder, the touch reassuring and steady. As the traveler settled into the chair, they could feel the softness of the quilt the woman draped around their shoulders, its thick, comforting weight, like a shield against the cold that still clung to their bones. The fabric, woven with care, held the lingering warmth of the fire, and it seemed to breathe with them, drawing out the last traces of the cold from their body. The traveler sank deeper into the chair, allowing its plush embrace to cradle their tired limbs, and for the first time in what felt like forever, they could relax completely, their body yielding to the comfort around them. "Eat," the woman encouraged, her voice warm and gentle as she set the bowl of soup closer to the traveler. The steam rose from the bowl in delicate tendrils, carrying with it the rich scent of root vegetables, hearty broth, and the faintest trace of aromatic herbs. The inviting smell filled the air, mingling with the scent of wood smoke, creating a harmony of warmth and nourishment that seemed to speak directly to the traveler's soul. The traveler lifted the spoon, feeling the weight of the smooth wooden handle in their hand. As they brought it to their lips, they could taste the comfort of home in the first spoonful. The broth was thick and rich, with a depth of flavor that could only come from slow simmering, where the roots and herbs had melded together in perfect harmony. Each bite was like a warm embrace, flowing through them like a wave of heat, spreading from their lips to the tips of their fingers, melting away the fatigue that had settled deep into their bones. They let out a soft sigh, their shoulders unwinding with each soothing swallow. The warmth, both from the soup and the fire, began to seep into their very being, and for the first time in hours they felt safe. The weight of the cold world outside seemed far away, and all that remained was this cocoon of warmth, comfort, and peace. As they ate, savoring each mouthful of the comforting soup, the woman settled into a chair opposite them, her hands cradling a steaming mug. The faint clink of the mug against her fingers was the only sound, as if the world outside had completely disappeared. She seemed at ease, her presence calm and unhurried, as if she were a part of the very essence of the cottage. "You found a special place tonight," she said, her voice low and soothing, like the sound of wind rustling through autumn leaves. "This cottage is no ordinary one. It appears to those who need it most, travelers who are weary, lost, or searching for something they can't quite name." The traveler looked up, their curiosity piqued, as if her words had unlocked a door to something deeper within them. They hadn't considered their journey beyond the physical exhaustion. They hadn't known they were searching for something intangible, something far more essential than warmth or shelter. The woman smiled gently, a knowing expression in her eyes, as though she had seen this same flicker of realization in countless others before them. Some say it's the forest's way of protecting its wanderers, she continued, her voice soft and steady, as though she were recounting an ancient secret. Others believe it's a gift from the spirits of the snow, a place where time slows and the burdens of the world melt away. Her words wrapped around the traveler like a lullaby, soothing their restless thoughts and weaving a sense of wonder and peace. The firelight flickered in her eyes, casting a soft glow that seemed to make her appear almost ethereal, as though she were a part of the very magic of the cottage. The light shifted in the room, dancing across the walls in golden patterns, almost as if the cottage itself were breathing, alive with warmth and spirit. But its magic is simple, she said softly, her voice now a tender murmur. It offers what the heart needs most: comfort, warmth, and a moment to simply be. The traveler felt a lump rise in their throat, a strange, unexpected wave of emotion flooding them. They hadn't realized how heavy their heart had felt until now, how the journey, both the physical one and the one within themselves, had been burdened with unspoken worries. But sitting here, in the quiet solace of the cottage, wrapped in the warmth of both the fire and the woman's kindness, it was as if the weight of their journey and anxieties had been gently lifted, piece by piece. For the first time in a long time, they felt the freedom to just breathe, to exist, without the need for answers or expectations. The woman rose gracefully, her movements slow and deliberate, as though she were in perfect harmony with the peace around them. She moved to a shelf lined with jars of dried herbs and delicate trinkets. With a quiet deliberation, she selected a small jar filled with dried lavender. The soft rattle of the jar as she opened it was soothing in itself. She took a few sprigs of lavender and sprinkled them carefully onto the fire. Immediately, the flames flickered and shifted as if welcoming the gift of the herb. A sweet, calming aroma filled the room, the scent of lavender mingling with the rich wood smoke and earthy herbs. The air itself seemed to soften, and the fire, now tinged with a soft, dreamlike blue, appeared to glow with an even gentler warmth. The traveler closed their eyes for a moment, breathing in the sweet fragrance. It was as if the very air in the room was crafted to calm and comfort, drawing out all the tension in their body. The firelight shimmered, casting soft shadows that danced on the walls, like the gentle rhythms of a lullaby. "Rest now," the woman said, her voice a whisper that seemed to flow through the room like a soft breeze. "Let the cottage take care of you tonight." The traveler leaned back in the chair, the quilt snug around them, its soft fabric cocooning them in warmth and safety. The fire crackled softly, its flames flickering like the gentle heartbeat of the cottage. The room was quiet except for the comforting sound of the fire, the occasional creak of the wooden beams, and the soft, rhythmic breathing of the traveler. Their eyelids grew heavy, the warmth and the calming scent of lavender pulling them closer to sleep, deeper into a sense of peace they hadn't known they were searching for. As they drifted off, the last thread of consciousness tugged at their mind, and they thought they heard the woman's voice. It was faint, distant, as if carried by the soft wind outside, but it was clear in its tender comfort. "You are safe here," she murmured, her words like a gentle caress, reaching across the space between them. "May your dreams be gentle, and your heart light." And with that, the traveler's mind surrendered to the warmth, the peace, and the quiet magic of the cottage. In the stillness of the snowy night, as the wind whispered softly against the windows and the fire crackled low, The cottage stood like a beacon of warmth and comfort, its glow a promise to all who might find it, a promise that they too would be safe, that the weight of the world could be set down, if only for a moment. The Icicle Kingdom, a journey beneath the frozen lake. The evening was so still, the kind of stillness that seemed to slow time itself, as the young child skated gracefully across the vast, frozen lake. Each movement of their skates was soft and rhythmic, the sound of them gliding over the ice a gentle echo in the quiet evening air. But as they glided further from the shore, something unexpected began to stir beneath the surface, an almost imperceptible melody. At first, it was no more than a whisper, delicate and faint, like the faintest breeze brushing against the ear. But as the child continued, the music grew clearer, its notes flowing like a gentle stream, soft and inviting, as though it was calling specifically to them. With each stroke of the skate, the melody seemed to beckon the child closer, urging them onward, as if it held a secret the child was meant to discover. The world around them remained silent, but the music seemed to rise, carrying with it an undeniable sense of mystery and calm. The child's heart began to race with curiosity, and they could not resist the pull of the sound. Their skates moved them in the direction of the music, circling the lake carefully, their gaze fixed on the soft glow that now flickered beneath the ice. A faint gleam of light, as though 1,000 stars were hidden below, caught their attention, and the child instinctively stopped. They knelt down at the edge of the lake, staring intently at the ice, their breath misting the cold air, wondering what could possibly be hidden beneath such a thick, frozen layer. As the child stared deeper into the ice, they noticed something even more extraordinary. A small opening in the surface, no larger than a crack, but it was enough. The glow from beneath seemed to pulse, gently inviting the child closer. With a feeling of awe filling their heart, the child reached forward, pressing their ear against the cold, smooth surface. The melody seemed to grow louder, more distinct, the notes now weaving a song that felt both ancient and timeless. Hesitation lingered for only a moment, as the child wondered if they should be afraid, but the music had such a soothing quality that all fear melted away. Instead, there was only a quiet longing to understand. Slowly, they reached out, fingertips brushing against the crack in the ice. To their astonishment, the ice responded to their touch, parting ever so gently, like the pages of a well-worn book being opened. As the ice separated, the child's eyes widened with wonder, as the breathtaking world beneath the lake was revealed in all its shimmering beauty. The hidden kingdom stretched before them, an enchanting world made entirely of delicate, glowing crystals and icicles that sparkled like diamonds in the softest light. The air was so still, it seemed to hold its breath, the peacefulness of the kingdom filling every corner. The child stepped forward, a sense of peace washing over them as they entered this magical world. The ground beneath their feet was soft and cool, the crystals around them humming with a quiet energy. In that moment, every worry, every noise from the world above faded away, leaving only the serene beauty of the kingdom below. The child felt a sense of calm that was deeper than anything they had ever known. As the child continued to wander through the ice-clad corridors, the soft glow of the radiant crystals illuminated their path, casting gentle shadows that seemed to dance along the walls. The atmosphere around them was impossibly serene, as though the very air was woven from peace itself. The child's footsteps were muffled by the smooth, icy surface beneath, and they moved as if they were gliding through a dream, each step taking them deeper into the heart of the frozen kingdom. The walls around them sparkled like stars caught in the embrace of the night sky, and the child felt as though they were part of something timeless. The melody that had guided them here now filled the space, the soft, melodic hum vibrating in the air. resonating with the child's own heartbeat. Every note seemed to weave itself into the fabric of the kingdom, filling the air with its calming presence, as though the entire world was breathing in perfect harmony. In this moment, there was no past or future, only the peaceful now. It was in this ethereal silence that the child stumbled upon the figure standing still in the center of a vast, shimmering chamber. The figure was cloaked in robes of silver and blue, their presence as delicate and powerful as the ice that surrounded them. Their hair, flowing like frosted strands of pure winter, glimmered with the same ethereal glow that filled the chamber. They stood in the heart of the kingdom, untouched by time, radiating an aura of deep tranquility. The figure exuded a serene wisdom that seemed to echo through the ages, as if they had always been there, watching over the frozen kingdom. The child's breath caught in their chest, but instead of fear, they felt a quiet reverence. The figure's gaze was warm, filled with an understanding that felt ancient and vast. With a soft smile, the guardian spoke in a voice that seemed to come from both the ice and the air around them, gentle yet carrying the weight of centuries. "Welcome, little one," the guardian said, their voice like the whisper of the wind through the trees. "You have entered a world where time moves differently, where patience and stillness are the heartbeat of life." The child's heart felt light, as though the guardian's words wrapped around them in a comforting embrace. All the noise of the world outside, the rush and chaos of everyday life, seemed distant and irrelevant. In the presence of the guardian, all that mattered was this moment, this peace. The Icicle guardian continued, their voice soft and filled with a wisdom that seemed to flow from the very heart of the kingdom. "This world thrives not on speed, not on noise, but on quiet patience, on stillness," they explained. "The ice, the crystals, the very breath of this place, everything here grows in its own time. It is not rushed, for the beauty of life is found not in what is done, but in what is simply allowed to be." The child listened, their hearts swelling with understanding. The guardian spoke of a rhythm that pulsed through the kingdom, a melody that echoed the heartbeat of the land itself. Here, in this kingdom, time is not something to be conquered, but something to be embraced. It is the quiet song of the world, a song that plays when all is in harmony, when the heart can rest and simply be. The melody you hear is not just sound, it is the language of the kingdom, a language of patience, of stillness, of the quiet power of the present moment. The child closed their eyes, letting the guardian's words settle deep into their soul. They felt as though they were hearing the world for the first time, understanding that in every quiet moment there was beauty, an unspoken power that only patience could reveal. The melody that filled the air now felt like a lullaby, soothing and gentle, reminding the child of the calm that comes when one is truly still. The wisdom of the guardian wrapped around them like a blanket, and in that moment, the child understood. Life was not something to rush through, but something to experience fully in the stillness of the present. As the guardian's words continued to flow, the child's heart began to settle. The turmoil of impatience and restlessness they had once felt now slowly unraveling. It was as if the soothing melody surrounding them had reached deep into their soul, easing away the tension and worries that had followed them. The words of the guardian resonated within the child, creating ripples of understanding. Impatience, they now realized, was like an intrusive noise, an interruption to the natural flow of life. The kingdom beneath the frozen lake had shown them something far more valuable than speed or urgency. It had shown them the profound beauty of stillness, of patiently waiting for things to unfold in their own time, just as the crystals grew and the icicles shimmered. Steadily, slowly and without haste. The air around them seemed to hum in agreement, as if the very world was reassuring the child that they had nothing to rush toward. The longer they stood there, listening to the soft, melodic hum of the kingdom, the more the child understood. The beauty of life was not in rushing ahead, but in taking the time to appreciate each moment, to let go of the hurry, and simply be. With a deep breath, the child released the unease that had once filled their chest, allowing the stillness of the kingdom to settle gently within. The peace they felt now was unlike anything they had known before, a quiet comfort that wrapped around them like the warmest embrace. When it was time to return, the child followed the guardian with newfound tranquility in their heart, the world above seeming distant and less demanding. The journey back to the opening was peaceful, the guardian's presence a constant reminder of the quiet balance they had learned to appreciate. They reached the place where the ice had parted, the entrance back into the world above, and the child took one last look at the kingdom, the crystalline walls, the sparkling icicles, and the soft glow of the lights. Everything was still and calm, as though it had always been there waiting for them. The guardian smiled, offering a silent farewell, and the child stepped through the opening, back onto the frozen surface of the lake. The cold air embraced them, but it felt different now, softer, more welcoming. As they stood still for a moment, taking in the quiet expanse of the lake, the distant melody floated back to them, faint but unmistakable, carrying with it the lesson they had learned. The rhythm of the kingdom's heartbeat was now a part of them, woven into the fabric of their being, a gentle reminder of the peace that comes when one allows life to unfold at its own pace. The world above the ice, though familiar, seemed slower now, gentler. With every breath, the child could still hear the soft hum of the kingdom's melody, echoing softly in their mind, reminding them to embrace stillness, to let go of the need to rush, and to savor each moment. As they turned to leave the lake, a sense of quiet joy filled them, a joy that came from knowing the greatest beauty lies not in motion, but in stillness, in being fully present in each moment. And with that, the child carried the kingdom's peace with them, a melody of calm that would stay with them always, guiding them through life's many seasons. The winter market, a night of magic and memories. The snow fell gently, each flake a delicate work of art as it floated down from the night sky. The quiet of the evening was broken only by the soft crunch of footsteps on the snow-covered path. A figure, bundled in layers of warmth, wandered through the frosty air, drawn toward the soft glow of twinkling lights in the distance. The world felt hushed, like the very earth was wrapped in a soft blanket, letting everything slow down and breathe together. The stillness was comforting, as though time itself had paused to take in the peaceful beauty of the night. Each breath was visible in the cold air, a soft cloud that drifted away into the darkness, and with every step, the figure felt the weight of the world begin to lift, if only for a moment. The glow of the distant lights beckoned, like the stars pulling the wanderer closer to something warm and welcoming. As they drew nearer, the market revealed itself like a hidden secret, nestled in a secluded corner of the world. It was a place where everything seemed to slow, where the worries of the world melted away under the soft twinkle of fairy lights. The soft murmur of conversations blended with the occasional chime of distant laughter, filling the air with a gentle hum of happiness. The scent of cinnamon and pine lingered in the breeze, inviting the figure deeper into the heart of this magical place. It felt as though the market had always been here, waiting, a timeless place that held memories long forgotten, waiting to be remembered again. With a sense of quiet curiosity, the figure stepped into the heart of the market. The stalls, each unique and filled with wonders, seemed to beckon, like an invitation to rediscover forgotten joys. The soft, golden light from each stall flickered, casting gentle shadows across the snow-covered ground, creating an atmosphere of peaceful enchantment. The first stall the figure approached was simple, yet captivating, filled with a collection of snow globes resting on plush velvet cushions. The globes themselves were works of art, delicate and intricate, each holding a scene that felt alive with memory. One globe in particular caught the figure's attention. A small, snow-covered cottage, the glow of a lantern shining through a frosty window, surrounded by swirling snowflakes that danced in mid-air, just as the ones outside did. As they leaned closer, mesmerized by the delicate beauty, the figure could almost hear the faint laughter of children playing in the snow, their joyous voices carried on the soft winter wind. The warm crackle of a fire reached their ears, and they could almost feel the heat radiating from the hearth, a comforting presence amidst the chill of the evening. The feeling of peace, of nostalgia for simpler times, filled the air. It was as though the globe held a memory of a moment long forgotten, a moment that could now be relived with a simple glance. Further down the row of stalls, the figure found another that seemed to pulse with warmth. It was filled with scarves, their soft, inviting fabric spilling out from baskets. One, in particular, stood out, a scarf woven with care, its deep twilight blue hue reminiscent of the sky just before dusk. When the figure ran their fingers over its smooth, comforting texture, a gentle warmth seemed to travel through their hands, as though the scarf itself held the memory of a loved one's embrace. For a brief moment, it was as though the figure could feel that embrace again, the tender warmth of a familiar presence, soft and constant. It was as though the scarf carried the essence of love, a forgotten touch rekindled, wrapping them in comfort and peace. As they continued to explore, the figure's eyes were drawn to a jar glowing softly with the light of hundreds of tiny fireflies. When they leaned closer, a soft, delicate sound reached their ears, a gentle, echoing laughter, as pure and innocent as a childhood memory. The sound seemed to wrap the figure in warmth, filling their heart with a lightness they hadn't realized they'd been missing. It was as though the laughter of those distant carefree days had been trapped inside the jar, waiting for the right moment to break free. And now, it had found them, a moment of joy that could be reclaimed with nothing more than the simple act of listening. It was then that the figure noticed the stall-keeper, a figure cloaked in soft, shimmering robes, standing by the entrance of the final stall. The robes shimmered gently in the warm light, giving the keeper an ethereal presence, as if they were part of the very magic of the market itself. Their eyes, soft and knowing, seemed to hold the wisdom of countless lives, as though they had seen 1,000 moments, each one precious, pass by. The warmth in their gaze was all-encompassing, offering a sense of comfort that made the figure feel as though they had known this person for lifetimes. The stall-keeper spoke in a voice that was calm and soothing, like the wind that whispers through trees, carrying the kind of gentle melody that makes the soul feel at peace. "This is a special market," they said. "Each item here holds a piece of forgotten joy, a fragment of warmth that you've left behind, tucked away somewhere in the quiet corners of your heart." The figure felt a sudden, deep connection to the words, as if they were speaking directly to the quiet ache inside, the parts of themselves that had been forgotten in the rush of life. "Sometimes," the stall-keeper continued, their voice almost a whisper, "we forget the simple joys, the small pieces of light that once filled us with wonder. But here, they are waiting for you, ready to be remembered." The figure stood still, absorbing the words, their heart filled with a mixture of understanding and nostalgia. It was as if they had been handed the key to unlock something deep within, something long buried but still alive, waiting for this moment to be remembered. As the figure stood in silence, a gentle weight seemed to settle in their chest, the quiet recognition of something lost, something that had been tucked away over the years, unspoken and untouched, yet still a part of them. The quiet longing to reconnect with that warmth, to feel the joy that had once been so close, washed over them like a soft tide. They didn't know what had been forgotten, but they could feel it, a part of them waiting to be rediscovered. The storekeeper, seeing the thoughtful expression on the figure's face, smiled softly, a smile that carried no hurry, no urgency, just a serene understanding. "Choose one thing," they said gently. "Something that calls to you, something that will help you remember the warmth you've forgotten." The figure's eyes drifted slowly over the rows of stalls, each one offering a promise of something special, something meaningful. But nothing seemed to draw them in, quite like the simple glow from the final stall. Their hearts stirred as their gaze fell upon a handmade lantern, its soft, steady glow inviting them closer. The lantern was unassuming, but somehow perfect, its light warm, like the first rays of dawn breaking over a quiet world, bringing with it the promise of new beginnings. The lantern's gentle energy seemed to hum, a quiet pulse that resonated deeply with something within the figure. It was as though the lantern held the quiet promise of finding one's way back home, to a place of peace and understanding. They reached out and took the lantern in their hands, its weight comforting, familiar, as though it had always belonged there. The lantern felt like a safe harbor, its soft glow lighting a path forward, wrapping the figure in a sense of warmth and protection. The storekeeper nodded, as if they had been expecting the figure to choose this very item. "This lantern," they said with a gentle smile, "will guide you back to the warmth and joy that you've carried within you all along." The figure felt a quiet wave of relief wash over them, the weight of the world lifting ever so slightly. With the lantern in their hands, they could almost feel the soft pull of something deeper inside, a part of them they had almost forgotten, waiting to be remembered. With the lantern cradled gently in their hands, the figure turned to leave the market, carrying with them the soft warmth of newfound joy. The snow, which had been falling quietly, now seemed to shimmer with new life, as though it too had been touched by the magic of the market. Each flake, delicate and unique, glistened like a tiny star, casting a soft glow on the path ahead. The world felt different now, as though the very air was lighter, filled with the quiet whispers of forgotten memories stirring to life. The lantern's soft, steady light illuminated not only the path ahead, but also something deeper within, the heart, which now felt open and unburdened. The path, once unclear, now seemed brighter, inviting the figure to continue, to move forward with a newfound sense of peace and purpose. As they walked, the chill of the evening air no longer felt sharp or uncomfortable. The cold, which had once pressed against them like an invisible weight, now seemed like a gentle companion, a reminder of the stillness that had led them here. The weight they had carried for so long, the quiet heaviness that had settled in their chest, seemed to dissipate with each step, replaced by something more enduring, a sense of quiet peace, a soft and unhurried gratitude. It was as though the lantern's light had melted away the burdens of the past, leaving only what was necessary, what was truly important: joy, warmth, and the gentle reminder of all the things worth cherishing. The market, with its glowing lights and tender magic, began to fade into the distance, its warmth lingering in the air like a fond memory. But the gift it had given The quiet, comforting light of the lantern remained, casting a soft glow in the figure's heart, a light that would never fade. It was a reminder that joy, like light, can always be found, even in the most unexpected places, if one is open enough to receive it. The figure, now walking with a heart full of gratitude, knew that they would carry this warmth with them wherever the journey would take them next. Thank you for joining us on this magical journey through the winter market, where memories and warmth come alive. We hope these stories brought you comfort, peace, and perhaps a little light to guide your dreams tonight. Remember, joy and wonder are always closer than they seem, waiting to be rediscovered. Until next time, may your nights be calm and your dreams be full of magic. Sweet dreams. On a quiet cobblestone street where the world seemed to pause, a soft golden light flickered in the stillness of the night. The little cafe at midnight, known as the Eclipse Cafe, was not like any other. Perched at the corner of a forgotten lane, its presence felt both comforting and mysterious. The cafe only appeared when the clock struck midnight, glowing like a beacon for those who wandered the night with heavy hearts or restless minds. As dawn approached, it would vanish without a trace, leaving only the faint memory of its magic behind. You found yourself wandering the silent streets under the watchful gaze of the moon. The air was cool and crisp, carrying the faint scent of autumn leaves and a hint of something sweeter, perhaps cinnamon or vanilla. Each step you took echoed softly, filling the empty night with a rhythmic whisper. Just as the weight of the day threatened to overwhelm you, a warm golden glow spilled out from a small window ahead. Drawn to it, you approached cautiously. The sign above the door, Eclipse Cafe, swayed gently in the breeze, its golden letters shimmering as if alive. The door creaked open slightly, as though it had been expecting you. Taking a deep breath, you pushed it open and stepped inside. The world shifted. Warmth embraced you like an old friend. The soft crackle of a fireplace filled the air, accompanied by the faint hum of a melody that seemed to exist just beyond hearing. The cafe was cozy, with wooden beams overhead and shelves filled with jars of tea leaves, coffee beans, and books with worn covers. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the scents of lavender and honey, wrapping around you like a comforting blanket. At the counter stood the barista, a kindly man with salt and pepper hair and a warm smile. His eyes sparkled with a wisdom that seemed to span lifetimes. "Welcome," he said softly, his voice a soothing balm to your weary soul. "You've come to the right place. Please, make yourself at home." You chose a small table near the window, where the glow of the street lamp outside created a perfect blend of light and shadow. Moments later, the barista approached with a steaming cup of something warm. "This is our Eclipse brew," he explained, setting it before you. The liquid shimmered faintly, tiny golden specks floating on its surface, like stars in a midnight sky. Sip it slowly. It's not just a drink, it's a journey. The first sip was like nothing you had ever tasted. It was rich and velvety, with notes of dark chocolate, sweet honey, and a delicate hint of lavender. As the warmth spread through your body, the worries of the day began to melt away. Each sip felt like a gentle embrace, and the quiet rhythm of the cafe lulled you into a deep sense of calm. Just as you were beginning to relax completely, The air around you seemed to shift. A soft chime rang out, delicate and melodic, like the call of distant bells. Across the room, a woman with silver hair and a serene expression caught your eye. She smiled warmly, gesturing for you to join her at her table. "The Eclipse Cafe is a place of stories," she said as you sat down. Her voice was soft and melodic, carrying a calm authority that drew you in. It appears to those who need it most, offering not just rest, but wisdom and peace. She leaned in slightly, her expression kind. "Would you like to hear a story?" You nodded, eager to listen. The woman began her tale, painting vivid pictures with her words. She spoke of a young girl named Amara who lived in a quiet village by the sea. Amara's voice was unlike any other. It carried the whispers of the ocean, the rustle of the wind, and the warmth of the sun. Her songs became the soul of the village, offering hope and comfort to all who heard her. One day, a terrible storm threatened the village, its fury unmatched by anything they had ever seen. The villagers huddled together, fear gripping their hearts. But Amara, with her unwavering courage, stood on a cliff overlooking the raging ocean and began to sing. Her voice rose above the chaos, weaving a melody so pure and powerful that the storm began to calm. The waves subsided, the winds softened, and the sky cleared. From that day forward, Amara's voice was a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, light could be found. As the woman finished her story, the chime rang once more, and you felt a deep sense of understanding settle within you. "Amara's story is a reminder," she said gently, "that peace and strength often lie within us, waiting to be discovered." The barista approached again, this time with a small plate of cookies. "Each visitor to the Eclipse Cafe has their own story," he said, his voice as warm as the drink he had served you. "And each cup of Eclipse brew helps reveal it." The hours passed as you listened to the soft murmur of voices, the occasional clink of cups, and the gentle crackle of the fire. Other visitors came and went, each leaving with a lighter heart and a softer expression. You realized that this place, with its stories and its magic, had given you something priceless, a moment of stillness, a breath of peace. When the barista came to your table again, his voice was quiet. "It's almost dawn. The cafe will soon disappear, but its magic will stay with you." As you stepped outside, the first rays of sunlight began to color the sky, and when you turned to look back, the cafe was gone. The street was quiet once more, but the warmth of the Eclipse Cafe lingered in your heart, a gentle reminder that even in the most unexpected places, solace could be found. And as you walked home, the world felt a little brighter, a little softer, and a little more full of hope. As the memory of the Eclipse Cafe fades like the last golden hues of a sunset, let its magic remain with you. Remember, dear listener, that solace can be found even in the quiet corners of the night, where stories unfold and peace whispers softly to the soul. Thank you for joining us on this calming journey. At Calmnightasmr, we strive to bring you moments of serenity, one story at a time. May the warmth of the Eclipse Cafe stay with you, guiding you gently into restful dreams. Until next time, may your nights be peaceful, your dreams be kind, and your heart be light. Sleep well, and good night.